The artificial atmosphere of Cytus IV always tasted like ozone and recycled static. It was a flavorless, sterile air that kept the high-tech metropolis gleaming under the twin violet suns. But inside the glass dome structure, at the edge of the industrial sector, the air smelled of damp earth, crushed peppermint, and life. Ronin wiped the soil from his hands onto his worn canvas trousers. At 35, he was the only human residing in the lower quadrant, and perhaps only one of a dozen on the entire planet. While the Cyterians built towers of glass that pierced the clouds and sustained themselves on nutrient pastes synthesized in labs, Ronin grew things. Real things. Temperatures dropping again, he muttered, checking the analog thermometer nailed to a wooden post. The digital sensors of the city often glitched in this sector, but Mercury never lied. He adjusted the thermal blankets over his prized row of lavender. To the Cyterians, these were just primitive weeds. To Ronin, they were a reminder of a home he hadn't seen in a decade. Ronin wasn't just a gardener. Before he had come to this fringe world to find peace, he had been a combat medic in the Terran Coalition. He knew how fragile life was, and he knew that sometimes the sleekest medical pod couldn't do what a simple biological compound could. A sudden deafening boom shook the glass dome. Dirt rained down from the hanging planters. Ronin instinctually dropped into a crouch, his muscles tensing. Through the condensation-fogged glass, he saw it, a sleek, iridescent transport ship. Unmistakably royal by the shifting gold and silver plating, was smoking heavily, spiraling down toward the open plaza just 100 yards from his greenhouse. It didn't crash so much as it slammed into the Duracrete, sparks showering like fireworks. Ronin didn't wait. He grabbed his medical kit, a battered leather bag filled not with laser scalpels, but with tinctures, bandages, and dried herbs, and sprinted out the door. The biting wind of Cytus IV hit him, but his body heat, running naturally higher than any reptile or insectoid species on the planet, kept the chill at bay. When he reached the crash site, a perimeter was already forming, or rather, a panic. Cyterian royal guards, towering figures in obsidian armor with glowing blue visors, were shouting in their melodic, chirping language. They were pulling a figure from the wreckage. It wasn't the crash that was killing her. Ronin could see that from 20 feet away. Laying on the cold metal of the transport's hull was a female Cyterian of breathtaking elegance. Her skin was the color of pale moonlight, translucent and shimmering, but it was currently flushed with a sickly, dark violet hue. Her four eyes were rolled back, and her chest was heaving in spasmodic, shallow gasps. System failure, a robotic medical drone announced, hovering over her. Subject physiology rejecting standard stabilization. Anaphylactic cascade detected, toxicity levels critical. No antidote in database. The guards were frantic. She cannot die. It is Princess Aeliana, one shouted, his voice cracking with fear. Get the stasis pod. It will not work, the drone monotone replied. Her airways are constricting too fast. Stasis will trap the toxins, not neutralize them. Time to cessation of life, 3 minutes. Ronin stepped through the crowd. He didn't look like a hero. He looked like a laborer covered in dirt, wearing a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up to reveal scarred forearms. Let me through, Ronin said. His voice was deep, cutting through the high-pitched panic of the Cyterians like a drumbeat. A guard leveled a plasma spear at Ronin's chest. Back away, human. This is a royal matter. Do not contaminate the air with your presence. Ronin ignored the weapon. He looked past the guard, directly at the dying princess. He sniffed the air. Beneath the smell of burning engine fuel, he caught a scent. Sweet, cloying, like rotting fruit mixed with heavy musk. He looked at the ornamental flowers crushed beneath the transport. Native blue stingers. Highly decorative, but their pollen was a potent neurotoxin if inhaled directly during a crash. She's not just injured, Ronin said, holding his ground. She's going into shock from the pollen of those blue stingers. Your drones are looking for a pathogen, but it's an allergic reaction. Her throat is closing. The guard hesitated. Our medical scanners show no bacteria. It's not bacteria, you idiot. It's inflammation, Ronin snapped. He pushed the spear aside, a move that would have gotten him executed on a normal day. But the sheer audacity of it stunned the guard. Ronin knelt beside the princess. Up close, she was even more striking. Her features were sharp and delicate, her silver hair fanned out like a halo. But her skin was cold to the touch. Far too cold, even for a Cyterian. Get away from her, another guard roared, charging forward. I can save her, Ronin growled, not looking up as he opened his leather bag. Or you can stand there and watch your princess suffocate. while your billion-credit robot tells you it doesn't understand why. The desperation in the air was palpable. The lead guard looked at the dying princess, then at the useless drone, and finally at the human. If she dies, human, I will peel the skin from your bones myself. A deal, Ronin said. Ronin worked with a speed that blurred to the Cyterian eyes. He didn't use a laser. He pulled out a small glass vial containing a thick golden liquid. Concentrated extract of earth honey and ephedra, a natural bronchodilator he cultivated for his own respiratory health in the thin atmosphere. He tilted Aeliana's head back. Her skin felt like marble, smooth and freezing. I need to get this under her tongue. Hold her head. The guard obeyed, his armored hands shaking. Ronin carefully dripped the golden liquid into her mouth. Come on, he whispered, his voice softening. Breathe, Your Highness, just breathe. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. The drone continued its countdown. Time to cessation, 45 seconds. It's not working. The guard yelled, reaching for Ronin. Wait, Ronin commanded. He placed his warm, calloused hand directly over her sternum. To a Cyterian, whose body temperature hovered near freezing, the heat of a human hand was intense, almost like a thermal brand. Ronin closed his eyes, visualizing the inflammation receding. He rubbed a second compound, a paste made of crushed eucalyptus and mint, onto her throat and chest. The sharp, piercing aroma cut through the ozone smell of the crash site. Suddenly, Princess Aeliana gasped. It was a ragged, harsh sound, like air rushing into a vacuum. Her back arched off the metal hull. Her 4 eyes snapped open. Irises of swirling nebula purple focused wildly on the face hovering above her. Easy, Ronin soothed, keeping his hand on her chest to ground her. Deep breaths. The mint is opening your airways. The honey is soothing the swelling. The violet flush on her skin began to recede, replaced by her natural pale luminescence. Her breathing, which had been a terrifying rattle, smoothed into a rhythmic rise and fall. The medical drone hovered closer, scanning. Vital signs stabilizing, toxicity decreasing, oxygen levels returning to optimal. Logic error, unknown substance detected. Princess Aeliana blinked, her vision clearing. She looked at the strange, rugged face above her. She had seen humans before, usually laboring in the docks, dirty and ignored. But this one, his eyes were the color of the earth, brown and warm, and his hand. She placed her slender, 6-fingered hand over his. Warm, she whispered. Her voice was like wind chimes, melodic and faint. You are burning. Just human, Your Highness, Ronin said, gently pulling his hand away as he realized the impropriety of the contact. Just standard mammalian heat. He stood up, wiping his hands on his pants. The adrenaline was fading, leaving him tired. She needs rest. And keep her away from those blue stingers. Her immune system can't handle the hyperpollen. The guards stared at him in silence. They looked at the primitive jars in his bag, then at their recovered princess. They had no frame of reference for what had just happened. A human, using nothing but crushed plants and sticky fluids, had outperformed the royal medical suite. You, the lead guard said. His tone shifted from aggression to confusion. What is your name? Ronin, he replied, slinging his bag over his shoulder. I'm just the gardener. He turned and walked back toward his greenhouse, ignoring the stunned stares. He didn't do it for a reward. He did it because on Earth, you didn't leave someone dying on the side of the road. But as he entered his sanctuary of green, Ronin had a sinking feeling. Things were about to get very complicated. 3 days passed. Ronin expected a visit from the authorities, perhaps a fine for interfering with a royal transport. He did not expect the princess herself to show up at his door. It was raining, an acidic, heavy rain that hissed against the glass dome. Ronin was pruning his tomato vines when the chime of the airlock sounded. He opened it to find Princess Aeliana standing there, flanked by 2 towering guards who looked distinctly unhappy to be surrounded by mud. She wore a hooded cloak of shimmering silk that couldn't hide the regal posture of her spine. Ronin, she said. She didn't use a title. Princess, Ronin nodded, wiping his hands. You shouldn't be out in this weather. Your lungs are still recovering. My doctors tried to put me in a hyperbaric chamber, she said, stepping inside without asking for permission. She took a deep breath, inhaling the humid, earthy air of the greenhouse. It felt sterile, dead. I found myself craving this. She gestured to the riot of greenery around them. To a Cyterian, used to geometric cities and holographic parks, Ronin's greenhouse was a chaotic jungle. It's just plants, Ronin said, closing the door. The temperature inside was a balmy 75 degrees Fahrenheit, tropical for her, comfortable for him. And the smell, she moved closer to a patch of basil. Sharp, spicy. My healers analyzed the residue on my skin. They found organic compounds they haven't used in centuries. They called it witchcraft. They can call it what they want, Ronin shrugged, moving to his small kitchenette in the corner of the greenhouse. I call it tea. Want some? He didn't wait for an answer. He brewed a pot of chamomile and lemon balm. When he handed her the ceramic mug, she held it with both hands, closing her eyes as the warmth seeped into her palms. Why did you save me? She asked suddenly, looking at him over the rim of the mug. Her violet eyes were piercing. My guards would have killed you if you failed. Most humans would not take that risk for a Cytarian. We have not exactly been kind to your species. Ronin leaned against his workbench, crossing his arms. Where I come from, life is life. Doesn't matter if it has 2 eyes or 4, or if its blood is red or clear. You were suffocating. I had the cure. The math was simple. Aeliana took a sip of the tea. Her eyes widened. It tastes like sunlight. Chamomile, Ronin explained. It calms the nerves. My nerves are fine, she lied. Her hand trembled slightly. My father, King Valerius. He is not a man who accepts debt easily. He believes human science is inferior. When he found out a human touched me, cured me with dirt-grown weeds. He was angry, Ronin guessed. He was humiliated, Aeliana corrected. He is on his way here. With the 7th Fleet, Ronin froze. The 7th Fleet was the Planet Killer Squadron. For me? For the threat, Aeliana said, her voice dropping to a whisper. Well, he believes you must have used some illicit bioweapon to alter my physiology. He thinks you have compromised the royal bloodline. He is coming to purge the contamination. She stepped closer to him. In the humid warmth of the greenhouse, the distance between them felt charged. She was taller than him, slender and ethereal. But Ronin felt a strange solidity in her presence. You need to run, Ronin. I can give you a transport code. Ronin looked at his plants, his lavender, his tomatoes, the small patch of earth soil he had cultivated for 5 years. He looked at the princess, who had defied her doctors to come warn a human gardener. I'm not running, Ronin said quietly. I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm tired of apologizing for being human. Aeliana looked at him, searching for fear, but found only a stubborn, granite-like resolve. A shiver ran through her, not from cold, but from something else. Then, she said, placing her mug down, I will stand with you. The king did not knock. The sky above the greenhouse darkened as a massive dreadnought descended, blotting out the violet suns. The vibration rattled the glass panes, threatening to shatter Ronin's sanctuary. Anti-gravity troop carriers descended like swarm of angry hornets, surrounding the greenhouse. Through the glass, Ronin saw hundreds of Royal Elite shock troopers deploying. They wielded energy cannons capable of vaporizing a tank. The airlock hissed open, forced by a command override. King Valerius strode in. He was a giant of a Cytarian, wearing armor made of white gold and pulsating light. His face was a mask of cold fury, his eyes burning with the arrogance of a ruler who had never been told no. Where is the human sorcerer? Valerius boomed, his voice amplified by his helmet. Ronin stood in the center of the greenhouse, holding nothing but a trowel. He dropped it deliberately onto the dirt. I'm right here, and it's botanist, not sorcerer. Valerius sneered. He pointed a gauntleted finger at Ronin. You dared to lay your hands on the heir to the throne. You dared to administer unauthorized biological agents to royal blood. I saved her life, Ronin said calmly. Your machines were watching her die. Silence! Valerius roared. Scan him. I want to know what pathogen he carries. 2 guards rushed forward, roughing Ronin up as they ran handheld scanners over his body. Ronin didn't resist. He locked eyes with the king. Father, stop! Princess Aeliana stepped out from behind a row of tall cornstalks. She moved to stand between the guards and Ronin. Aeliana, Valerius's voice faltered slightly. Step away from the creature. You are compromised. We will cleanse you. I am not compromised. Aeliana shouted, her voice echoing in the glass dome. I am healed. Look at me. She threw back her hood. Her skin was glowing with health, her eyes bright and clear. She looked stronger than she had in years. He didn't use magic, Father. He used nature. He used the biology that we abandoned for circuits and code. She reached out and took Ronin's hand. The guards gasped. The king stiffened. Get your hands off him, the king hissed. No, Aeliana said. Feel him, Father. Look at the thermal scan. She gestured to the medical officer standing beside the king. The officer hesitated, then pointed his scanner at Ronin and Aeliana's joined hands. "My liege," the officer stammered, looking at the datapad. The readings are unprecedented." "What is it?" Valerius demanded. "The princess's biorhythm. It is synchronizing with the humans," the officer said. Bewildered, her stress markers are dropping. Her immune system is boosted by 200%. It appears the human's body heat and bioelectric field are acting as a stabilizing agent for her physiology. It is a perfect symbiotic reaction." The king stared at the datapad, then at his daughter, and finally at the dirty, defiant human. "Symbiosis?" Valerius whispered. "With a human?" "We are cold, father," Aeliana said softly. "Our technology makes us efficient, but it leaves us cold. Ronin, he is warm. His medicine is life." "We have forgotten what life feels like." Ronin squeezed her hand gently, a silent reassurance. He looked at the king. "I don't want trouble, your majesty. I just want to grow my plants. But if your daughter ever gets sick again, your machines won't save her. I will." The silence that followed was heavier than the dreadnought hovering above. The king looked around the greenhouse. He saw the vibrant green leaves, the blooming flowers, a sheer aggressive vitality of the place compared to the sterile gray of his city. He looked at his daughter, who for the first time in her life looked truly alive. Valerius signaled to his guards, "Stand down." The energy weapons lowered. "You say you are a botanist," the king said, his voice regaining its composure, though the anger was replaced by a calculating curiosity. "That's right," Ronin said. "And this tea," Valerius gestured to the mug Aeliana had left on the table. "It is capable of reversing anaphylactic shock?" "Among other things," Ronin said. "It cures headaches too, which I imagine you have right now." A murmur of shock rippled through the guards at the insult. But then, a low, rasping sound came from the king. He was chuckling. "Audacity," the king mused. "Humans are known for it? Perhaps. Perhaps we have been too quick to dismiss the old ways." He turned to his daughter. "You will return to the palace, Aeliana." "I will visit here when I wish," she countered firmly. The king paused, looking at Ronin. "Ensure that you do." "And human? Ronin?" "Yeah?" "Expect a delivery of royal credits and a permanent security detail. Not to arrest you," he added, seeing Ronin tense up, "to ensure that the only source of this medicine on the planet is protected. It seems you have become a strategic asset." 6 months later, the greenhouse was no longer a hidden shack. It was the center of the newly established Xenobotanical Research Wing, though Ronin insisted on keeping the dirt floors. Ronin wiped the sweat from his brow. The business was booming. Cyturian nobles lined up to buy earth tea and miracle salves. They paid a fortune for what Ronin considered weeds. The airlock chimed. Ronin didn't look up from his potting soil. "We're closed for the day," he called out. "Even for royalty?" Ronin turned. Princess Aeliana stood there. She wasn't wearing her royal silks. She was wearing a simple gardener's tunic, her silver hair tied back. She looked happy, especially for royalty. Ronin grinned. "You distract the workers. I am the only worker," she teased, stepping inside and picking up a watering can. She moved with a grace that still captivated him. But now, she moved with purpose. She came to stand beside him at the workbench. The heat between them was no longer just a medical curiosity. It was palpable, magnetic. "My father asks if you can synthesize a cure for his insomnia," Aeliana said, brushing her shoulder against his arm. "Tell him to drink warm milk and count electric sheep," Ronin replied, his hand finding hers over the potting bench. Her skin was warmer now, adapting to him, just as he had adapted to this world. "He also asked," Aeliana whispered, leaning in close, her violet eyes shining with mischief and affection. "When the strategic asset intends to formally court his daughter." Ronin laughed, a deep, warm sound that filled the glass dome. He pulled a sprig of blooming rosemary from a pot and tucked it behind her ear. The scent of pine and earth surrounded them. "Tell him," Ronin said, leaning in to kiss her, "that humans prefer to take things one season at a time." Outside, the violet sun set over the steel city, but inside the greenhouse, life was blooming in ways neither species had ever expected. The Armada had gone, replaced by a garden, and the doomed princess and the outcast gardener had found a cure for the one thing technology couldn't fix. Loneliness. It turns out, humanity's greatest export wasn't weapons or war, it was warmth.